Hello and welcome to the Barcast. I'm your host, Nick Barr. Thought I'd do something fun today and just do a 30-minute jam session. So I'll not edit this, it'll be live, and just gonna explore what's top of mind for me right now, which is this idea of thrownness. Thrownness is a condition, a human condition that Heidegger names most explicitly, but I think is a very powerful thing to talk about and ties into a whole theme that I'm thinking about. So I just want to jump right into it. Let's do 30 minutes. Hey Siri, set a timer for 30 minutes. So the word thrownness comes from the German geworfen. And I'm just going to start dragging in some. I wonder. Right, I guess you can see one of my monitors, but not my other. That's fine. So you should probably be able to see the Google images right now. I'm got sort of Figma working in the background, and I'll bring it up if it's useful. But I'm almost just using it more as like note taking. So you look at geworfen, the kind of that's interesting. Fallen geworfen. I wonder if that's an actual. Yeah, this is some kind of religious thing, but I don't know what it means. So it's thrown. It's also sort of tossed, like tossed overboard. There's a picture down here somewhere of like a life raft, I think. So you can be tossed up, but you can also be thrown or tossed. This is a good one. You're sort of tossed, sort of ejected in a way. So I'm just doing a little bit more sort of mood boarding here. I thought I saw when I looked at this the other day a life raft, and I thought that was very. I hear this guy sort of. This is like a double thrownness. You might be tossed overboard, but then the life raft, the life preserver might be tossed to you. So it's sort of like a double toss. First being thrown overboard and then something being thrown to catch you. It's interesting. These are all water. Everything I've grabbed, a bottle being thrown into the ocean, this shopping cart. I'll show you what I got here. This is my mood board. All sort of water. And the water can toss and turn, and a ship can be tossed in the ocean. So I think I like the oceanic quality here. I think it's relevant. So what the heck are we talking about? Why does it matter? There's something about the human condition such that by the time we're wondering about it, who am I? What's going on? Why am I unhappy? What am I going to do with my life? We are already finding ourselves in a sort of arbitrary and somewhat flailing, certainly ungrounded, but I don't want to step too much on fallenness, which is another Heideggerian term. It's just arbitrary. There's the doors, and apparently I was reading this. Jim Morrison took a Heidegger class in university, so we can safely assume he's thinking about Heidegger when he says, "Into this world we're thrown like a dog without a bone." That's the kind of thrownness we're talking about. So this exists on a bunch of different levels, right? Like, I'll just name a couple here. There's like thrown into thrown at birth, I guess we could say it. So we could say like circumstance, privilege or lack of. So we're all kind of familiar with that. Especially these days, we talk a lot more than we used to about privilege. It's almost like a reasonably modern thing we reckon with. That the situation that I'm born into is not really a reflection of what I deserved or didn't deserve. I guess we need to put a pin in that because the Buddhist will raise their hands and will say, well, what about karma? So I think we need to come back to karma. But I think in kind of an everyday understanding, we get it that I was born to two parents in an upper middle class situation in New York, and that's wonderful for me. And I was thrown into that. But I could have just as easily been thrown into poverty and unstable family situation, and that both are thrown. Sometimes you're thrown overboard, and sometimes you're thrown a life preserver. But it's all arbitrary. It's all this thrownness. But that's just sort of one level of thrownness. So we can talk about I want to talk about mood. Like, maybe this is thrown at level of birth. Maybe this is thrown at level of mood. What I mean is, like, you might be thinking, gosh, like I'm just unhappy. And I don't have the life that I want to have. And I don't have the relationships that I want to have. And I feel so sad. And all these things are so real for you and so true. And then you remember that you had a really late night of drinking last night. And you haven't had any water yet. And you just ate some mac and cheese. So in that case, the person that's having all of these feelings is already having those feelings in a mood. They're already thrown inside this mood. And again, it's sort of circumstances. Now, this one is a little maybe even harder with karma because it's like, well, you ate yourself or drank yourself into that mood. So we're not saying that that's not true. In fact, we will want to say is you threw yourself or you're thrown into your own conditions. But you still have the quality of thrownness. It's sort of just like, one of the ways I think about it is like being thrown off of a horse. Like, let's find. These are brutal. I want to find a guy who's like really like already landed. Maybe he hit his head. This is pretty good. Really? I lost. Oh, let's fit. Oop. Fit. There we go. Nice. So maybe thrown into birth, thrown into a mood. But it's thrownness. It's the condition. I don't want to focus so much on the action of being thrown. It's thrownness. Thrownness of birth, I think, is probably the best way to talk about it. Thrownness of mood. It's not precise enough, and maybe it actually won't be possible to be precise here because it's wonky. We're not just talking about physically being thrown, but we're talking about what is it like to be thrown off of a horse? I'm not talking about whoa or like that feeling. I'm actually talking about you've been thrown off the horse and you come to and you don't know how you got on the ground and your head hurts and you need to rapidly come up with like an explanation of what happened. That's the thrownness. That's like this scrambling quality. Scrambling. Let's make like a little word cloud. Scrambling. It's unpleasant. It's slightly like embarrassing. You know what's a great example of thrownness is like the corpus callosum, corpus callosum patients. They're like always in a state of being thrown. Their whole condition is thrown. So they get up because someone whispered, go get a Coca-Cola into their left ear or whatever. So they're getting up to go get a Coca-Cola, but their whole other half of their hemisphere doesn't know that. So you say, hey, where are you going? You say, I just want to get some fresh air. It's that, I'm just getting some fresh air, but it's so fast that they're not consciously coming up with an excuse. We're talking very close to the ground floor, the ground of being a person. So it's not actively explaining. It's not even like subconsciously explaining. It's like, so with birth, it's sort of justifying, but it's all at a very, very, very low level. Subconscious. I'm trying not to use Heidegger terms, A, because they're hard, and B, just because I don't want this to be something that has prerequisites to access. So obviously subconscious is not an exact term and it's probably wrong, but you know what I mean. We're talking about the David Foster Wallace, the fish in the water kind of thing. How's the water? What's water? So there's a scrambling, there's an unpleasant, then there's embarrassing, there's a not knowing. or more specifically, there's sort of a not wanting to see, not knowing. I mean, that's the quality. So not wanting to feel like you've got gunk all over you, but you don't want to say I've been discarded. You're drowning, but you don't want to say I fell off the boat. Your head hurts, but you don't want to say I fell off the horse. You're born. You are already in this condition, but the condition is objectively unpleasant. There's a sort of salvaged quality to it. Sort of things are just thrown about. Because you're not the only thing that's thrown. Everything has sort of been thrown together. There's like a castaway feeling. I wonder, if this comes alive for anybody, and just in this jam session. But for me, I can contact thrownness and recognize it as my condition. I'm always already in a situation that sort of is not of my doing. Like, it's not like chess when I look at my position and I know I'm the one who got me here. It's like starting chess in a position, and it's that dream quality. Like, I don't know, like the taking the test thing. It's like, I don't know the class. I win the lectures, but now I kind of need to take this test. That sort of bewildered quality. So there's a huge sort of denialism, ignorance, willful. Yeah, okay, that's a pretty good. So thrownness of mood is like sad when, hangry. Because hangry people can't say, I'm hungry. That would be like saying, I've been thrown off the horse. So they have to say, you're pissing me off right now, when they mean I'm hungry. Thrownness of birth is like, well, my karma was positive, or karma's weird. We got to come back to karma, but it's like saying, God smiles upon me, so I'm born rich, or the opposite. I guess part of that is that maybe the unfortunate are more in contact with their thrownness. That would make a lot of sense. If I'm born upper class, I'm more likely to think that somehow that's the way things are, the way they should be, or at least not want to look too closely into it. But if I'm born unfortunate, then that inquiry is going to come more naturally to me. Why is it that we were born in this situation when other people were born in a better situation? Of course, they have their own institutions and justifications at a systemic level, but they might still be more inclined to question. Guess I should write that down somewhere. we've got 10 minutes left. We're sort of 2/3 into this, and I feel like we're just getting started. I guess I'll just add a third one, which is sort of like thrownness of thought or thrownness of consciousness. Just even from moment to moment level. Why I'm rarely I'm almost always making sense of what's already there. But we're trying to get too deep there. So why do we care about thrownness? If this were a proper video, I guess we would start there. Why do we care about thrownness? Thrownness names the non-neutral orientation we have to how is it I got here, or who am I really, or what am I really? Great, I recorded it, so I don't need to say it again. I don't know what I said. Thrownness points to that non-neutrality. That non-neutrality serves as a compass for inquiry because it tells us to look exactly where we don't want to look. That's it. That's the point of thrownness. That's why thrownness matters. Okay. Okay. Why do we care about Thrownness? Thrownness points to the non neutrality of our orientation toward existential questions like who am I? What am I? Why am I the way I am? What happens when I die? Etc. Deep down, we know our situation to be arbitrary. Our birth situation, the situation right now, any situation. By the time we are asking about our situation, by the time we're inquiring as to the nature of our situation, we've already been unceremoniously thrown into it. We always already are trying to piece things together. We always already are a la Humpty Dumpty. And are never neutrally making sense of things. Maybe connecting the dots would be even better. There's always already a preceding tragedy. Thrownness then becomes our compass. We should look exactly where we don't want to look because that takes us closer to our real condition, which we don't want to see. And conversely, like we don't need to believe any of this. We can just start using Thrownness as our compass, and then we'll see the results. The results will be so positive that there will have to be something to say about it. Yeah, good. Hey, that was a pretty productive 30 minutes. So, was it? I feel good about this. And it's clear now to me why I needed Thrownness to be one of the first things I record toward this idea of Twilight Yoga. Because it is the compass, it is the view. And maybe we'll need to look at fallenness as well. Maybe in our remaining minute or two, we can just dig up this. This is such a good article on Heidegger. And they talk about three: thrownness, projection, and fallenness. Dynamic combination of disposedness. Disposedness is good. And we've been disposed. There's a disposal. That's interesting. Like a disposal machine, throwing away. Dispose of that. Therefore, we're never not disposed. That's beautiful. Huh. That's a good one. Because thrown doesn't really have that reciprocity between being thrown and then therefore thrownness is a made-up word. Whereas like disposed is very nice. Then we even came up with predisposed. It's funny, yeah. Predisposed, we're happy to talk about being predisposed to something. It's almost like we had to come up with the word predisposed to hide from ourselves that we're already predisposed means predisposed. It's like meta. You just stuck another thing onto it. Like what value actually does... Oh, shit. God, I gotta work on these timers. They're so loud. Scares the hell out of me. Predisposed seems to add no meaning to the word disposed, which would be a lovely example of thrownness at work. I'm so curious if this is intelligible to anybody. but I think I get it. So I just want to finish the thought on thrownness, projection, fallenness, disposedness, understanding, and fascination. Oh, so fallenness and fascination are tied together. In fact, this is a refund. This gets very structural, very formal, because they even tie it to temporality. Past is thrownness, future projection, present fallenness. I look forward to doing this more. Thrown into the world, disposedness. Befindo. So here's another word for disposedness. Already having found oneself there. Reward transcendental mood. I don't think. I mean, this is beautiful. There's a lot here. More even than in Dreyfus around thrownness. But I don't think we need to do much here except for just say, like, let's just stick it in there. Okay. Good start. Let's just put this all under a little thing here. Thrownness. It's big. Okay. Thanks for watching. If you did comment or tell me or something. And see you next time.